Good evening. I'd like to call to order this special board meeting that's for the Sweetwater County Commissioners and the City of Rock Springs, City of Green River, the town of Bear Oil, the town of Granger, town of Superior, and the town of Wamsutter. And since it's a workshop, we won't worry about quorum. And at this time, before we get started, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to the
and the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to thank everybody that's on the Zoom from the 6 communities as well as the county. Things we're going to go over tonight, there was an agenda put together. I'll cover it in a minute, but I would like to make a few announcements. First of all, this meeting is being shown over YouTube for the public to watch. Because this is a workshop meeting, there will be no public participation. The participation will come through the mayors and their councils, and that's where we'll be at. So with that, I would like to say also that first off, that using the computers, if you're on Zoom, please mute computers except when talking. We have 2 screens of talkers, so I would ask that if I'm sure somebody wants to talk or unmutes, their picture may come up, but be patient with us. I believe at the bottom of your screen in the reactions, there's a thumbs up or a clap hands. Put that on your screen and we'll try and catch it. When you do talk, please introduce yourself as well as who you're with. Also, if speaking in the chambers, please use the podium. The computer has a speaker in it. You'll have to make sure it's unmuted, but then please mute it. If speaking virtually or in person, okay, I already said identify yourself and who you are. And then minutes are being taken by Sweetwater County Administrative Secretary and being recorded here in the chambers by our Sweetwater County Clerk, Miss Lane. So with that, we have an agenda, and because this is a county meeting, even though it's a workshop, the agenda basically has topics for discussion, and we'll go over those as listed. And there are more topics of importance to towns and county, and as being that important, they're more for very little discussion, but to appoint mayors and the chairman of the county to appoint members of staff to work on those committees to bring some resolution. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. And then, of course, finally, with the agenda as request items to be discussed for next meeting and schedule next meeting. My truly belief is can't remember the last time there's been a joint county governmental meeting. I don't think there's any more pressing times than what we're in right now to convene and work as a committee. Granted, I'm telling you up front, this is the first time. I will look to the mayors and I'll look to your council members to please visit with your mayors as to what we can do better for this meeting for not only you as governing bodies, but as for the citizens of, and when I say Sweetwater County, I mean Rock Springs, Green River, Granger, Superior, Bear Oil, and Wamsutter. We're all in this together, and keep it that way. So it'll be a discussion at the end to continue. The other aspect of it is I know the small towns, the 4 small towns, Granger, Superior, Bear Oil, and Wamsutter, they may see these meetings as possibly something that is more focused on the Green River, Rock Springs, and the county. And I will make this offer to them that if they want to have if they see that as a reasoning, I will make this offer to them that have a representative at these meetings if this group continues, the mayors and councilmen continue to do this meeting, and they have that option to have a rep at it, or their whole council, or I'm willing, as chairman of Sweetwater County, to have a special workshop meeting with the 4 small towns, and then appoint town members to report back to the, or ask town members to report back to the, to this group when they have meetings. So I'll leave that out for the small towns and see what they think after we get done tonight and take a look at the topics. I fully recognize the fact that their needs are different than what we're seeing or experiencing in the 2 cities. The main reason I want to bring us together is for, necessary discussion, as well as, I got to stop for a second, to identify and deliberate on public business that is mutually relevant to, or may be coordinated with, the governing bodies of Sweetwater County. We know there's no more urgent time than right now when we look at the declining revenues for this year. I know the cities have been watching theirs. County will have third quarter revenue at their meeting this next Tuesday. But no matter, I think what the numbers are going to show is there's going to be a continued declining of revenue, which means through that revenue, wherever it comes from, it's going to create some hard decisions for everyone, whether it's county or 2 big cities or the small 4 towns. So I truly believe if we really sit down and go to work together, there are some things, and we'll probably find out more, that we can do together, operate more efficiently, and in the long run, save dollars for all of our entities. That being said, the one thing my desire is that we come together with the idea that no matter what's happened in the past, it's a past. We aren't going to survive the future if we don't work together. We need each other. And if there's a time we need each other and need to work together and forget, I'll just use these words, the sword rattling from the past, and get down and go to work and truly work towards a solution. I truly believe we can get there. The right people are here and on the Zoom, and the right people are those governing people, and it'll be very important that we work towards a common goal and work together. So with that being said, I think the next thing to do, as you're digesting all that, is I would like to go around through this meeting, and I think it's important that we know who's here, and it might take a little bit of time, but I think it's very important that our mayors of our 2 big cities and our mayors of our small towns introduce the people that they believe that are on this Zoom call. So first up, I think we'll start with we'll start with the mayors, and we'll do the county commission last. So with that, we'll start with our Rock Springs Mayor, Mayor Como. If you're on, would you please take a minute and introduce your people, those people that work for the city, for Tim. Don't hesitate if your screen's on to wave. So Mayor Como, the floor is yours.
Commissioner Wendling, thank you, and I appreciate the time in putting together this joint meeting. We have several with us here tonight. Councilman Brent Patolo is on board. We have Councilman David Halter. We have Councilman Keaton West, Councilman Larry Hickerson, Councilman and Council President Rob Zotti, Councilwoman Jeannie Demas, Councilman Tim Robinson, did I miss? I'm looking through the names here. I think that's who we have as far as council that I can see. We also have Dave Lansing, our Director of Recreation. We have Paul Kausich, Director of Engineering and Operations, Public Services. We have Department Head Matt McBurnett, Director of Finance. And there's a couple here with phone numbers. I'm not quite sure if they're on or not. And if you are on and I did not mention your name, feel free. Oh, we have Police Chief Dwayne Pacheco on as well. I would imagine maybe Chief Walmsley is on. If I didn't mention your name, feel free to raise your hand and introduce yourself. From what I see right now, Commissioner Wendling, that's who we have representing the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Chief Walmsley is here in the chambers and with due diligence. Finance Director Matt, your Finance Director, Matt McBurnett, is as well. I call him ours because I was fortunate enough to work with him on the Emergency Operation Command Center, so I feel like he's ours as well. So, but he's here. Okay, thank you, Tim, or Mayor Como, and thank your staff for joining us as well as your council members. I would ask next that the Mayor of Green River, I know Pete Rust, you're on. Would you please introduce the people that are here with the city of Green River?
Sure, thanks, Doc. So I'm just going to go down the screen here. We have Ward 1 Councilman Jim Zimmerman. We have our new Ward 1 Councilwoman Sherry Bushman. We have our new Ward 2 Councilman George Jost. We have our Council President Gary Kilpack from Ward 3. Just what's on my screen, I'm going to go ahead and announce, or not just do the council. We have our city administrator, Reed Clevenger. We have our assistant fire chief, Bill Robinson. We have our finance clerk, Tara Smith. There's Bill. We have our assistant fire chief, Larry Erdman. We have our police chief, Tom Jarvie. And let me see what else. We have our communications director, Steve Core. We have our grants and intergovernmental coordinator, Ryan Rust. We have our parks and rec director, Brad Rainey. And am I missing anybody? I think that's it, Commissioner Wendling. Did you catch all that, Doc?
Yeah, I did. I didn't unmute, Mayor.
Okay.
I will look through the chambers and see if there's anybody from Green River. I asked the question. There's nobody here. I see Chief Walmsley from Rock Springs is here, but is there any other, and Matt McDermott, is there any other individuals that are associated with the Green River City Council and their departments sitting in here? Okay, Mayor Como, we have all your people covered. With that, let's move on. Let's move to our small towns. Mayor McCullen is here from Granger. He's in the chamber. If you would come up to the microphone, please, Mayor, and introduce your staff that's with you here in the chamber. Tim, if you please all right, he's in, he's coming. Out of respect for everybody, I mute myself.
And Daniel Soto.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm glad you and your council members could make it, and we look forward to working with your council, yourself as well, and hope this proves satisfactory for you. Thank you. Okay, next up, I believe the mayor of Superior, Mayor Wolf. I believe he is here in the chambers, and he'll come up and introduce himself and introduce anybody who is here with him. Good evening, Mayor. Wonderful.
I'm the mayor of Town Superior, Dominic Wolf. I just want to thank you guys for inviting us and small towns out.
Well, we thank you for taking the desire and joining us, and we welcome you and look forward to working with you and your council members with this town of Superior, Dominic.
Council members, they're kind of working and this and that, so.
We understand that.
I told them I'd represent, so.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move on, and the next one is, I think it's on Zoom, Mayor Regano of Bear Oil, Town of Bear Oil. Are you out there?
Yes, Commissioner, we're here.
All right, we can hear you, so go ahead. Do you have any council people with you?
I do. I have Councilman Lowell Clausen, Councilman Dana Clausen, and my clerk treasurer, Ashley Hopkins.
Thank you very much for introducing those individuals, and we appreciate you joining us and look forward to having even stronger relationship, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. With us from Wamsutter, Mayor Erickson, are you there?
Yes, Chairman, I'm here, and I believe going through the participants list, we have Fire Chief Dusty Davis with us tonight on our side of it, and I think that's all I see on my end here.
Very good. And we appreciate you joining us and taking the time to do it, and we look forward to working with you guys as well. Thank you. And last but not least, will be the commissioners of Sweetwater County, and with us so far on is Commissioner Jeff Smith, Commissioner Roy Lloyd, and I believe Commissioner Mary Toman. Mary, are you there? Yeah, there she is. Thank you, Mary. And I don't see Commissioner Lauren Shanefield. Lauren, are you out there? Where are you at? Okay, very good.
I'm on.
There you are. I'm sorry. Anyhow, and other people that are with us in the chamber, we have our attorney, our district attorney, Danny Aramosby, our assistant district attorney, John De Leon, our city clerk, Cindy Lane, myself, of course, and on the set here, let me go through the list totally. We also have in the meeting, of course, Tim Knight, our IT director, Sally Shoemaker, who is administrative secretary to the commissioners, working out of the clerk's office as well. I'm looking through, just bear with me, please. It's a great list. It's a great participation list. Commissioners, if you see anybody I haven't mentioned, please let me know, but that's who's here presently. And we're looking forward to working with everybody. So anyhow, is there any person we missed out there that we hadn't introduced? Very good. Thank you very much. Now it's time to move into our topics. And of course, the biggest thing is what let me share with how this list was generated is the list where we have a mayor and commissioners meeting where the leadership meets and talks about what are the things we can as we move forward. And this list was mainly generated from the two cities. It isn't an all-inclusive list. For example, when I look through the 13 of them and I think about Reed Clevenger and his work out there and that type of thing, he and the town of Green River, one of the things that I didn't get on there would be what's called an economic special tax or mill levy. So the list will grow by one more. My point with that is this is not an all-inclusive list. We do want to add to it if we need to when we finish, and then continue to talk about future meetings. So with that, of course, the first thing that comes up on our list that was a priority for towns and cities is an ambulance for the present ambulance that we have for Rock Springs and Green River, as well as parts of the county. And those are the entities that primarily concern with it. And we know that presently the ambulance is funded 100% out of the general fund of the county. As we move forward under these times for funding reasons, I think for the most part, everybody knows that the county notified the ambulance agencies of service being ceased at the end of March. And of course, with that occurring, we wanted to get into conversations with our communities and hopefully we can come together and really look at would be a good model, not only to carry us through the present, but carry us into the future to in some sense, come to a solution that will permanently fund the ambulance for Sweetwater County. So with that, mayors, first thing I'd like to do is, mayors, do you agree, and small towns, if our ambulance impacts you, which it may for Granger and it may for Superior, I believe Wamstetter has an ambulance volunteer that has a coverage area that goes into eastern part of the county as well as supports the northern part. But I will share with you, the county does spend money to Carbon County for first response assistance, primarily fire and if needed ambulance. So I believe when we're talking ambulance, mayors, we're talking mainly what's covered now under the present service that we are using. So mayors, I'd look to you and ask you if at this point in time do you believe the two cities and county are ready to sit down and work towards a viable solution for ambulances? I would ask Mayor Como first. Your thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, of course, we all agree ambulance is a critical need for each and every one of our communities. City of Rock Springs has been down this road before, and the City of Rock Springs would be willing to lend a hand in investigating a way to fund ambulance in the future. I can't speak for our counselors, but I'm surely not committing us to any financial obligation at this point, but we are willing to participate in trying to come up with a solution.
Thank you very much. And I will share with you and any other, and the Mayor of Green River and that the county does have has resources, that understands and has looked at some viable alternatives. And I will just say at this point in time, the county is committed to working with the towns in towards a solution. And you know, I agree with you. I don't think we as individual leaders can commit any funding, although I truly think that we can come together and do the very best thing that's not only fair but right for, again, I say the citizens of Sweetwater County, which includes Rock Springs, Green River, and the small towns. So with that being said, Mayor Rust, are you out there? There you are.
I am. Yeah, and Doc, and I'm going to call you Doc. We're a little more less formal when we run our meetings, but obviously we see the value of participating in the ambulance service and how we're going to move forward with it. And really, it's simple as that. And the only other thing I would say as we go down the list, I would hope that in particular, all the council people here and the staff keep in mind which areas that they might like to participate in, what areas that they have an interest and have a passion for, because that is largely what we're doing tonight, is introducing these areas that of common interest to all the cities and the towns. And we need to staff committees or task force or whatever we call them with some of these areas at the beginning, probably, that we're going to prioritize. And so I would just hope that everybody keeps in mind as we go down the list areas that they might be interested in participating in. That's all, Doc.
Thank you, Mayor Ruff. I would like to also comment on the fact that we truly believe as leaders, when we have been talking, that we since this particular topic has urgency. So I think if we have to, we appoint our individuals, if possible tonight, but we have to, and if that doesn't work out and there's a switch, we need to let the head of that group know about it. But this group will have to really seriously consider the sense of urgency. And my comment to whoever serves on this group is, I particularly think you need to rely on some of the thinking that's gone through the county. That's it all happened in executive session, so we cannot talk about what was laid out because to protect the request of the individuals, businesses that we talked with. But it does not mean that without talking, we can share the process and see where we're at. So I would encourage this group to use those county resources and that type of thing. So I will put that caveat on there, but it is a sense of urgency and that type of thing. So let me ask this question. Are there any of the small towns that would wish that where the ambulance services provided would like to sit on that council? Mayor McCullum from Granger, is that something you guys would like to participate in since we provide service there? I think Castle Rock does now.
Castle Rock is our primary right now. That's something with the fire department we can look into it and get back to you on. I'll see if there's something we want to sit in on.
Okay. All right, yeah, you'll let us know. For Sally and Cindy Lane, that was Mayor McCullum from the city of Granger. I'll go to the next mayor, Mayor Wolf from Superior. I believe you received services from probably Sweetwater Medics. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You think that is something that the ambulance committee is something you'd like to have somebody serve on, or do you trust that group to move forward in your representation? And I'll make that same offer to Granger.
What you do is talk to my council and even our new volunteer
Okay.
before I, make that call. But, I mean, you guys do an excellent job, helping with the small towns. That's superior.
Okay. I just don't want to not include you as towns because it is your service provider. All right. All right. And with that, I believe the Wamsetter and Bear Oil, you are primarily Carbon County helps out in Bear Oil, and in Wamsetter, you have your own volunteer ambulance. And I know the Farson Eden area does, but let me ask Mayor Erickson from Wamsetter, what's your thoughts?
What we have right now, Doc, I mean, it gets us by. We're trying to work the best with what we got. It does help with the subsidized Carbon County. What we cannot get to Carbon County is our backup, since we are so far away from the two big cities on the west end of the county. So I think we could put somebody over there. Sherry Lyon is our EMS director right now, and she's very knowledgeable of what we've got going on here. I know we're getting by with what we've got. So if it stays the same, I'm sure we'll be able to operate. If things, funding, that kind of stuff is different, we would have to figure something else out.
All righty. So you're going to give some thought if you want somebody on this committee or not, or would you rather, are your thoughts right now, you're good?
I think we're good on this end, just because we weren't involved with that ambulance service before. Unless you think you'd want to do a countywide ambulance service, Chairman, that would be different.
Thank you very much, Joe. And if that group appears that the right model for Sweetwater County happens to go in that direction, I'm sure the standing representatives in that group will realize that they'll need to bring in all 4 small towns for representation, as well as those outlying fire districts, i.e. Farson Eden, for example, and then any other ones that they're District 1. So, Joe, appreciate that, Mayor Erickson, and we'll keep that in mind, okay?
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. So at this time, town of Wamsutter will not participate on the committee this early. I'll go to the town of Bear Oil. Mayor Regano? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts about this committee for the ambulances in this area? You're served by, I believe, Carbon County, that the county helps with, as well as Wamsetter. Do you feel you need to have a representative on this ambulance committee?
I don't think so at this time. We have no ambulance at all. We lost that years ago. We are strictly covered by Carbon County.
All right, and I hope they're doing you a good job. I'm not hearing they're not.
Yes, they are.
Thank you very much. And you too, if that committee decides to look at a long-term fix for the county, which would be a district for those areas that would need it, they will probably contact you as well to see if that's necessary. Okay? Okay. Okay, Mayor Como, I believe you have your hand raised. You're on a different screen, bud. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, you were getting down to that point at that discussion with us. We did approve our council committees and board liaisons, and I know Councilman Robinson is our appointed liaison to the ambulance board. I'm sure he's eager to participate. So Councilman Robinson would be our option for participating in the committee.
Okay, so for ambulance board, Rock Springs, Councilman Robinson, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, congratulations. Then I'll ask City of Green River, are you ready to possibly appoint somebody?
No, we're not, Doc. We're going to talk about this. We'll talk about it even tomorrow, but we need a day or two to get everybody together.
All right, but then I'll Green River, we'll notify, okay? And I think we could have, I believe mayors, one from each organization would be enough.
Mr. Chairman, I think so. I don't think we should load up these committees to the point where we have way too many people that may be cumbersome to what we're trying to do here. I think at least one person for each community that's willing to participate would be sufficient, in my opinion.
Very good. Mayor Rust?
I'd be interested to hear from the council. We haven't, this is the first time we're discussing these issues, and personally, I thought we were going to potentially do two, if it's mainly the main or the large cities that are involved, and then the two that are closest to us in most circumstances. That's going to be 5 people. Actually 4 people. 5, pardon me, with the county. Is 10 people too many? I don't know. I don't be interested to hear from. I'd be interested to hear from other people, because we haven't discussed these things amongst the council. This is the first time.
Mr. Wendling, I'm going to step in here. This is Reed from the city of Green River with Pete. We had talked about a little bit earlier, and I think the goal of this too was to see, how many of these topics we're going to get into, how many subjects, and because if you're to go through and start aligning people into all of it, I think we need to take a little bit of time to figure out who's going to be best to fit within those committees. And if we get through 13 of them, how many people is that going to take, and not to make sure we have good coverage. And that's kind of more of the direction Mayor Rust was trying to get us to.
And I'm glad you mentioned, that was Reed Clevenger, the city administrator for Green River, for the note takers. Thank you, Reed. I think that's a valid point. I think we can spread ourselves too thin if we try to do all of them. I think as we look through the list, mayors, it's very easy for you to look at them and see which ones would be a priority of probably 5 to get into right away, or 6, whatever you'd like to do. But it'd be very important, though, that these committees get through things, and then we come back and look at additional stuff. So let me share with the 2 mayors and the rest of you that when the county worked through this, we found out that really, for the most part, by the time you work with the needed people for this to look at things, yes, one person from the county would have been enough. I was the second person sitting in and that type of thing. So, but at the same token, you're exactly right. I think one will be plenty. The key to it will be to work with the people who understand how the ambulance has worked in the past, over the last, I'll just say the 6 years that I've been a commissioner, and how it's transitioned to where it's at today, and really look carefully at what the county did up until they made the decision to not provide services. I think our deputy attorney and our purchasing agent and our commissioner, Jeff Smith, who are deeply in it, would be very good resources to be on this committee and inform and be able to help out. So I agree with Mr. Clevenger from the city of Green River. I agree with you, Tim. One would be enough, but from each entity and that type of thing. So Pete, Mayor Rust, we will hold for you to get us somebody, one person. We have someone from Rock Springs. I will appoint Commissioner Smith to it, and we will decide if we want an alternate from the county or not, in case the commissioner can't make a meeting or something like that. So let's go to the town of Granger. Do you think you want somebody? You already said you wanted to wait and
We're going to discuss it.
just discuss it.
We'll try to. We'll see
All right.
like I say, pretty squared away with Castle Rock as it is right now.
All right, thank you very much. And Dominic, you're going to visit with your council too, Mayor Superior, Mayor Wolf. Okay, so, but we'll include those 2 small towns because they're in our service area. So I have the ambulance committee set up as Councilman Robinson for for Rock Springs. We will get notified by the mayor for somebody from the Green River. For the Board of County Commissioners, Jeff Smith, or Commissioner Smith, I'm sorry, Commissioner. And then we will be notified from the town of Granger and the town of Superior for a member, or if they don't want to, and that type of thing. Any questions, mayors?
Commissioner Windling, I have a question.
All right, we have a question on the floor from Town Councilman Zadi.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Floor is yours, Councilman Zadi.
Question and more of a concern. I mean, we're talking long-term goal for the ambulance service, but we're looking at funding that's going to be cut effective March 31st, which means services are going to be cut or greatly reduced. And I don't think formation of the committee and that is really addressing the urgency of this potentially that the community is faced and the lack of potential service from ambulance. So I that's my concern. I don't know with the commission cutting funding starting in March or the end of March, was it?
Yes, the end of March.
I don't know if anybody else shares my concern, but I think we have a lot bigger problem than
No,
we're trying to address here. And there's not, we need to be working a little more sense of urgency on this, I think.
Councilman Zadi, you're exactly right. My thinking is there's a sense of urgencies in 3 tiers. What can we do starting the end of March to carry us through to a short-term solution? And I guess to carry us through from the end of March until we get to that point, that is an urgent solution. They work towards what I'll call a more stationary, long-term solution. And one of those thoughts that was put out
Commissioner Wendling got disconnected for a moment.
Yep, thank
We'll
you.
be right back.
Kind of like a bad habit. I keep coming back. I'm sorry for that. With that in thought, Councilman Zadi, you're exactly right. And as I shared, there is an immediate urgency for that committee to work to provide direction so that the councils and commissioners can act together. Then the next step would be what I call a short-term fix while there is time to look for a long-term fix and work towards that long-term fix. So it's a 3-step, and your comments are well noted. And I'd like to note to the committee, the ambulance committee, that time is short, and we need to work together and come to a cooperative that we can all move forward on. Does that answer? Any more questions about the ambulance? Mayors, are you okay with that? Mayor Como, Mayor Rust? Can't hear you, Mayor Rust. You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm unmuted right now, Doc. I just believe at the moment, the less detail we do and decide which issues we're going to talk about, ultimately just prioritize the top 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 even, and not get into the details too much and let the groups that are involved, deal with that. And that even goes to the size of the group, because it's not appropriate in my judgment for 2 people that have talked so far to say 1 is enough. We need to discuss that further, because I think that some issues are going to take more people than others. So I don't think we should get hung up in fixing numbers to things at this point. But so my thing is general procedure, and kind of moving on with at some point tonight, how far we're going to go in terms of which issues we're going to develop groups for, and then be pretty open in how we go from there. That's all I have in the whole situation tonight, basically.
Thank you, Mayor Russ. Appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, and you're right. You can we don't have to decide on the numbers tonight and that type of thing. But in this particular one with ambulance, there's urgency there where the next 5 or 6 are not as urgent. So thank you, Mayor Rust. And I don't want to hold any committee to just one. If you got 2 people that want to work on it, that's fine. So, all righty. Okay. So I believe that sets ambulance aside. I think Councilman Zadi brought up a good point, and it's been noted of the urgency. I appreciate that very much. Next item that I think is near and dear to everybody's heart of the 7 of us is a special purpose tax, which is a 6 penny. Mayor Rust, would you like to start out there? I believe that should be one that we should maybe begin to work on in my thinking, but I'll leave it up to, I'd like to hear what you and Mayor Como and the other 4 mayors have to say.
Well, I think, Doc, you and I have talked about this from before the election, actually, how important it is. And I think that it's critically important after the ambulance in terms of obviously emergency services that we have to deal with that. But to the revenue situation that we all face, I think the special purpose tax is critical. And I think that I'm assuming the small towns want to be involved in this too and have full representation based on whatever knowledge we have of how they participated in the past. But that's all I have at the moment. I think, again, we don't want to get too big, but we'll see when we meet, how many people we think have expertise that are important to be involved in the committee, and then we'll get that feedback to the group as soon as possible, and to you as the chairman.
That sounds great, Mayor Rust, and we will wait to hear from you. Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Tacoma.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to offer, the City of Rock Springs usually every year appoints numerous committees and liaisons, and City Councilman Keaton West has always been our representation to the 6 penny special purpose tax projects, and he'll continue to play that role. I understand the City of Green River actually has some interesting information about some history with the success of 6 penny tax dollars. So we're interested in seeing that. But I think we all agree these were good projects. Some of them may have changed, but I think the conversation is good to have, and Councilman West will be there to represent the City of Rock Springs.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilman West. Let's go to town of Granger. Again, Mayor McCullum, do you have a representative that you feel you can at this point appoint to a 6 penny?
For the 6 penny, it'll most likely be me, as I was before.
Okay.
Go ahead and course, I deal pretty tight with my council on those, but it'll be me.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Mayor McCullum from Granger will serve on that, with that committee on it. How about Mayor Wolf from Superior? Do you have an idea for the 6 penny representation?
Me personally, I sit on that board. It's something we're working on and for this over sure love to get back on board with that.
That's great. I think the sooner we get that going, we can. Okay, let's keep moving through. Mayor of Bear Oil. Mayor Regano,
Yes, sir.
don't want to leave you guys out, even though we have to go through Carbon County to get there.
Right.
Or rent horses, so, talk to me about 6 penny representation.
It would be the same as we had before, which would basically be me.
Okay, Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
okay,
And just for the record, we've had 9 water leaks in 2020.
wow.
And it's getting really bad.
Okay, well, I think there's a sense of urgency. I think everybody has a sense of urgency, Mayor Barrow, so we appreciate that. We'll put you down. And Mayor Wamsetter, Mayor Erickson. Are you out there, Mr. Mayor Erickson? There, oh. Mayor Erickson from Wamsetter. Joe, did you get off? Is there anybody from the town of Wamsetter on? Dusty, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Dusty, do you know if Mayor Erickson got off for a reason or?
I don't know what happened there.
Okay, well, until I can get him on and so we can move forward. Do you, for the town of Wamsetter, do you remember who worked on the 6 penny?
It was Councilman Waldner, but he did not reelect this time, so we'll have to find a new person for that seat.
Okay. Would you mind carrying the message to your mayor that we need to?
Yes, I will.
Notified for a representative from Wamsetter to sit on 6 penny?
Yes, I will. My guess is probably be him, but I will follow up and have him get a hold of you on that.
All right, thank you very much. So what we have is we'll wait for the city of Green River, the city of Wamsetter for representation. For the city of Rock Springs, we have Councilman Keaton West. For Granger, Mayor McCullum, Superior Mayor Wolf, and Bear Oil Mayor Regano, and Sweetwater County Commission. I believe Commissioner Shanefield sat on our 6 penny, and we'll have the discussion if for any of these, if we need any lead for these, and if somebody needs some backup. So I see Commissioner Shanefield, you're on. You're okay with that? You did it before, so can you carry that pail of water?
Mr. Chairman, I would be very happy to. I think we had a good group going and we had some really good discussions and had plans on moving forward. So I'm excited to continue.
Thank you very much. I think one more point, mayors, is I think the county took the lead to keep that organized through Commissioner Shanefield. Is there an objection that that would not continue, or do you have a better idea, Mayor Como?
Negative. I think we did have a good group. I have no problem. I can't speak for the full council, but I have no problem with having the county take the lead.
Thank you. If there's an issue, please let us know, because this is a collaborative effort, and I hope it in everything continues that way. And we need to be honest with each other. Don't have to be honest in public, but we got to be honest when we're together. Well, we need to be honest in public. I didn't say that. Long day. We need a little levity in this organization. So anyhow, Mayor Rust, you okay with the county on the lead on 6 penny?
I don't have any objection to that. The group worked well. All I would say is, we're going to talk about all this as a group again, and then get back to you. So
Exactly.
we're not in the same stage as apparently the other people are.
No, and you make a good point, is, the committees are going to work and that type of thing. And if we continue, my desire is to continue these meetings. And when I say this, it's tongue in cheek, is as regular as this group wants, so those committees can report out. And if there's any assistance they need, we can give it to them though as well. So Mayor Russ, thank you for that. I'll ask.
Yeah, and Doc, let me just be clear. We don't have a problem with you guys taking the lead. We just need to all work together. That's all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mayor Rust. You're exactly right. And I appreciate the vote of confidence in our Commissioner Shanefield and the other commissioners. With that, Mayor Granger, are you okay with the county taking the lead?
We are.
All right, Mayor Wolf? Mayor Regano? You okay if the county takes the lead?
Yes, we are.
And Dusty, do you think there'll be an issue in Wamsutter?
I don't see one.
Okay, thank you. And Dusty, I'll reference you throughout the meeting as a council member from Wamsutter, but if Mr. Erickson gets back on, let us know, please.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions on the 6 penny mayors? Anything we missed? All right, thank you for the committee assignments. As we look at the list and going through, let me share something on the joint communications, joint airport, and joint telecom. Is joint communications is a joint powers board, which everybody knows that basically has a MOU with the City of Rock Spring, City of Green River, and Sweetwater County. And that board has in the MOU, their organizations and their basically rules and regs of how they operate. They're pretty well written, and they're pretty well guided. I think from that standpoint, when I look at joint communications and have conversations with the mayors, I think what's important there that we're asking is to begin having joint city, county, and joint cities and the county meeting with and about joint communications with their board members and that type of thing. So mayors, Como, I'll let you go first. Your thoughts about joint communications. They already have representation from us. I think it's just a matter of oversight. I think we're talking about. I'll use that word. Mayor Como.
Mr. Chairman, I would just say it's my opinion, and we do have representatives, department heads that sit on that board. I think we need to re-examine the cost share again. City of Rock Springs pays a lion's share, and I think we need to reevaluate just how we do business. I think the original intent, as I said before, was that we pulled that group together to save the taxpayers' dollars, hopefully decrease the amount of employees that we had, and we're still doing the same thing we've always done with the same amount of employees. So I think it's important we, especially in these budget times, we need to get serious here and make sure that we're all paying our fair share, yet we also need to make sure that what we're doing follows a good business foundation, and we're not heavy, if you want to place it that way. That's my concern.
All right, thank you, Mayor Como. Mayor Rust.
Yeah, I think Tim said it just fine. I don't really have a whole lot to add. We do know, obviously, the joint communications, it's a huge part of our budget. And that was the initial investment and things of that nature. And it was supposed to get more efficient as time went on. And I think we need to examine that and see where any improvements can be done in that regard. I think that's our concern. And I think that's probably the concern of all the groups involved from the discussions that we've had. And, so I think Tim pretty much covered that.
Well, and from the county standpoint, I believe with any joint communication boards, no matter whether it's, I should say any joint boards, whether it's communications, airport, and now we have our new telecom, and whatever others are out there for us as governing bodies that are involved, we need to together. And so we're all hearing the same. So the board and from telecommunications, as well as the executive director and staff are all hearing the same thing from us as the county leaders and city leaders, basically the funders. So they need to hear the same message. They need to hear what the desires are. I can only share that I won't get in the weeds too much, but the county did experience when there was, we cut everybody else for funding and we ran up to an obstacle, even a court decision dealing with joint boards, and we lost because of the way the MOUs are written. So we're going to have to also get our legalese involved. I'm telling you that right up front, but you know what? I don't want to surprise any joint board or anything. I just want them to know that as leaders of the cities and towns and counties and the county, we are fiscally responsible to the taxpayers, and we need to have that oversight. If we're going to be responsible, we got to have that oversight and have some input. But before we can do that, in order to understand, for any organization, any group to understand us, we need to understand what they're doing. And I think we need to spend that time as oversight people, as councils, and then come back and say, okay, here's what we'd like to see. How can we make it work? So anyhow, I'm in agreement with our two mayors that we do need to come together. I do know we all elect board members to that. I don't know if we need a committee or what. You guys as council people, members or mayors have been talking. I'm open to whatever. I will tell you right now, I am the liaison to the Joint Communication Boards for the county. I will serve however, if it's a committee or as oversight, but I'm going to be honest with you right up front that if we're going to have any oversight, true oversight, we'll have to probably look at the MOU with our attorneys and then come together based on how the MOU is written and work from that standpoint. Our county attorney has worked with the county before in the past, and that's the obstacle we found in order to, I guess for the most part, have the right oversight, mayors. So with that, my question to you with the, you got joint communication boards, we have elected boards, as well as a joint airport. The new board coming aboard is a joint telecom. Do we want an extra committee have oversight, or do we, as three leaders, chairmen and mayors, have the time to sit with our legalese and have them review it and then come back and work with our boards? I don't care how we set it up. I do, as the chairman of the and liaison to communications, I will accept whatever role that you two as mayors would see fit. So anyhow, Mayor Como, your thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, we have two appointments there, Chief Pacheco, Chief Walmsley. I believe everybody's privy to the constant discussion that we've had, as Mayor Rust has pointed out. I really think, maybe a subcommittee, and I'll speak with our council, maybe we want to involve our legal team and a counselor as well. But I would think the board themselves would have by now brought some resolution to some of my complaints from the past year and a half. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna need a little bit of time on that one to speak with our counselors and our city attorney and get back with you on that one.
Okay, so that's one of those ones I think we could you're suggesting let's come back and revisit, right, from your standpoint?
Correct.
All right, Mayor Rust?
Well, again, I think we need to come back and revisit all of them for us, but I think this one's actually an easier one in terms of the likelihood of who's going to be on it. It's going to be Chief Jarby, who is a representative to it. It's going to be Galen West, our attorney, and probably Reed Clevenger, the city administrator. Those are the three that are the most likely group, but we're not committing to that at the moment. We need to talk about it as we do with all of them. But there had been some brief conversations that Reed and I had this afternoon with that, and I think that's the most likely team. But we'll get back with you on it, Doc.
All right, and as county liaison to that board, I'll share with both of you. We each have 3 people appointed that represent the 3 for Green River, 3 for Rock Springs, and 3 for the county. And most of them are first responders. Some of them are employees of the towns, or cities, one of the cities or whatever. So, we do have good representation on it, and that type of thing. So it's how, let's come back to it with the 3 of us at a next time. So I'll put that one as I won't use the word tabled, but I'll just say, hey, we're going to come back and talk about it. And this brings a good point I'd like to share with everybody. 2 mayors and myself meet for a meeting once a month. And our last meeting we have changed our meeting so that we can visit and talk about where we're at with this meeting, and also work collaboratively to set the agenda and get things out there and make it a lot more smoother. So just to share with you, the 3 of us, because of our where we're at, we'll do that. If it involves any of the small towns, I will take the responsibility to get a hold of small towns and make sure that they're aboard where they need to be, and that type of thing, whether they have a representative at this meeting or not. So I will take that on. So with that, we're going to put the joint communication boards. We'll revisit it. My suggestion as mayors is for us, we need to have conversations, and so we can give directions to our boards, because of it's budget time, and we need to see where we can go. I will say this much: I will commend the Joint Communications Board for the work they've done over the last couple years on really, listening to the entities with regard to keeping costs down and not asking for more money than what's necessary from the 3 entities. So I do want you as mayors to know that my observation is they've done that. It's so they're a good group, and they work hard, and they do what's right. But again, too, with us as leaders, I think there's some things we need to visit with them about it. We'll do that at a later date. And I know Joint Airport Board is with the city of Rock Springs, and at this point in time, and the county. And I know Mayor Rust, you're part of as a member to that. But Tim, let me ask you this question: is there any reason to do anything with the airport board at this time? Anything?
I think the reason it was originally on there was just to discuss if we could do anything better amongst all the entities, more particular to those that affect us, as we're talking about economic development, city of Green River, city of Rock Springs, and the county. But we do have a new appointment. Councilor West is serving on as our liaison to the airport board. But if the group feels that there's no discussion there, that we're doing what we need to be doing, then I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, and let me share with you, I had a conversation with the airport manager, and pre-COVID, I think they were in the process of redoing their joint communications MOU, and I had an opportunity to look at that, and it does show some progression and some possibilities to expand, to make it a true work towards it being truly a Southwest Regional Airport, Wyoming Regional Airport. So I think at this point in time, we might have bigger fish to kill, Mayor, and work on. So I agree with you, but I do know the director is going to work with his board and probably pick up that ball when the COVID situation looks like it's a little better. And I think that'll help everybody a bunch, okay?
Acknowledged.
Thank you very much. So we'll put the airport on hold.
Mr.
Telecommunications.
Chairman,
Yes, go ahead. What did I miss?
it's Keaton West with the City of Rock Springs.
Keaton West, you have the floor. Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
Mayor Russ can speak probably a little bit further to this as he sits on that board, but we did have a meeting today, and I think it's important to note that you've probably read the articles and some of the legislation that's out there, but they're looking into the idea of a special district for airports. So I think that's important to bring up as far as, you know, any joint powers board goes and whether or not the cities agree with that or are on board with that. And if the county is as well, because ultimately it'll come down to the voters and whether or not the county wants to pass that along. So it's probably something that merits some discussion in the near future here.
Thank you, Councilman West. And that particular bill, I wished I had brought my bill sheet with me that I got from the County Commissioner Association today. You're exactly right. There is a bill that's being introduced for special districts, you know, so airports have the ability to work and apply for special district status, and the voters have to pass it. You're right. We need more conversation because two things need to happen. Is one, if we support it and we got good support, we got to work the legislature this session to make sure it gets passed. And then as well as that, then at what point in time do we begin the work of a county supporting Southwest Regional Airport for a special district? So thank you for that, Keaton. We need to stay on that together as a group and work with it as a group. Thank you, Councilman. Anything more?
No, that'd be Senate File 4, just for your.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's move on from that information, mayors. I will say this, if we move into the airport for our small towns, we'll look to you to support if it moves forward. So, but at this point in time, we won't involve any committee or anything. So the next thing that's on the list is joint telecommunications. That's a new to the county. The county, I believe, has signed the agreement to move into the telecommunication boards. It's a new board for us. I do know that we do have to make that appointment as a liaison for the county, and that'll occur at Tuesday's meeting for the county. But it's new to us, mayors, so I don't know what your thoughts, what you want to do with telecommunications. So I'll leave the floor to you, and we'll support through this together, I believe, as a county and two cities as well as small towns. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, from many months of discussion of talking about areas to consolidate, this item was brought up prior to the county jumping on board. So it's my opinion from the City of Rock Springs that we need to give this this new agreement time to work. I don't have anything that needs to be discussed on that.
Thank you, Mayor Como. I'll give the floor to Mayor Russ now.
You know, I would echo Tim's sentiments there. I don't think we necessarily. I think in any case, appointing some folks to have a task force to just kind of follow along as we go, and if we want to assign things off to them, I don't think it hurts, even though it's not something critical at the moment. But you know, it's not required. But the telecom, I think it'll be something that we'll say, you know, after we get some of these higher priority issues that we spend a lot of time with down the road, we'll say, okay, let's take this one up. So it doesn't have to be at the top right now, is what I'm saying. Agreeing with Mayor Como on that.
All right, thank you. All right, so that doesn't be held at the top, and I think when we appoint our liaison, to that board, we will really lean hard on our liaison to direct us if we need to come together and some way and how, if there's something we've got to work on together, and if that board needs us. So we're in the same boat for this moment as a whole, but I'm going to count on whomever our liaison is, Commissioners, or Mayor Rust and Mayor Como, to help us, guide us if we need to move in that direction. If that's okay, gentlemen?
Yeah. And Doc,
Go ahead.
So we're okay with all that, and we're at number 5. And I would suggest, based on our input and something that the comments that you made earlier, that something did get left off. And I think because we're not going to be able to deal with too many of these at one time and come back with all of the organization and all the people and all the reporting and things of that. And I would suggest that as you had mentioned, 4 or 5, that we add the SEDC and economic development to it. There's an awful lot of things that are involved in there, as we're almost through the first phase on the industrial park and that whole investment. And that's a major issue that we're already moving along with, and we need to, we believe in Green River, we need to believe that that needs to be one of the priority issues. So I would suggest we put that in at number 6, and quite frankly, stop there at the moment, get people on those, and then report back. But that's just my feeling.
No, Mayor West, I'm sorry, Keaton. Mayor Como. You're muted, Mayor Como.
Waiting for Mayor West to jump up.
I know, and I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did that.
Well, I don't disagree with what Mayor Rust is saying, and I also agree economic development in these times when the economy is somewhat tanked, we can't lose focus on how we spur economic development and bring in new businesses in here. And we're actually working on a couple of large opportunities. So I wouldn't disagree with that. But one thing I do want to put a plug in for, and we've kind of tested these waters, and this goes for everyone. Centralized inventory is a key component and an opportunity for us to save the taxpayers' dollars, order in bulk, and maybe find that costs that we're normally seeing are very much decreased when we buy in bulk. And this goes even up to automobiles, travel, whatever it may be. And Mr. McBurnett's worked well with Marty over there to kind of test the waters, but I just don't want us to lose sight on that one. And I would recommend that if we're going to stop there, we at least include that one, because we're all ordering stuff. We all have our own thing, and to have the opportunity to buy in bulk and save taxpayers' dollars and take advantage of some much better pricing, I think is also critical. I know we got a lot of things on this list that will take some time to discuss, but that, at least if we're going to stop, needs to be part of the consideration as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mayor West. Mayor.
No, Pete's fine, Doc.
We're going to get Keaton either in Rock Springs or Green River as a mayor before this is all said and done. Even if it's co-lead, but Keaton, we're working for you, man.
Enough drama.
Just read the newspapers tomorrow.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no press on at the moment. Doc, I agree with Tim 100%. And I was talking to I believe one of our councilmen and several other people, even today, that the central purchasing and central inventory, which is key to central purchasing, is an absolute economic development gold mine potential. If you think about, if you just started with government, And you could start with the Fish and Game and the Forest Service and the school districts. If we combined and did an inventory, we could create a business park, quite frankly. If you got all of the public entities involved in that do their purchasing and did a central purchasing, and quite frankly, you would talk then to the industry and see where some of the things that they might be willing to do too. I think it's just a potential gold mine that needs to be explored. That's a huge economic development piece. I think that having been said, the reality is everybody has their own jurisdictions, and there's certain groups that get favorites based on that particular area. It's not a favorite that's inappropriate. It's that you're taking care of businesses in your area. So it's not 100% open that we're just going to say, okay, this group has this paper and this group has this paper, and we'll all create some sort of, but I think that there's tremendous potential to create businesses if we all purchase centrally. And so I do agree with Mayor Cuomo that I think it's an absolute key. And I think that, again, I think that the discussion will expand out from this group potentially. I mean, obviously the 2 school districts are huge. You know, they're 2 of our biggest employers. And you can go on, you can go to conservation districts. It goes on, the number of public entities to start with. And then where you can, just because some mine works out of Turkey or headquartered out of Houston, they're not going to obviously jump in with us, but there are areas in which they might be willing to do that. And I just think that it's a huge potential area of economic development that should be included as, in my mind, probably the last area on this list. And then I think if we really got our act together and signed the people and had the groups meet and come back with what we've got started, I think that would be a heck of a beginning.
Thank you, Mayor Rust. Here's just listening to 2 of you, and I would at this point in time ask if any of the small towns, what they're thinking about I'll just say centralized purchasing / whatever. It could be inventory in that. I would ask the town of Barrow, Mayor Regano, is that something that you probably need time to talk with your council, but is it something you want to vet with your council?
We could discuss it with the council, yes.
All righty.
It's not it's ever been brought up before, so.
Oh, well, and that's why I have you as small towns here, because as we move forward, if there's some way and how that it benefits you, it also benefits us. And when I look at the forecast with revenue for small towns, and if they get into direct distribution for cities, towns, and counties, especially if it goes through what the governor's proposed, if they take a 10% for small towns, we know many of their budgets are, the direct distribution is anywhere from 17 to 27% of their small town budget. So, 10% is huge for you, small town. So that's why you're here and involved, as well as the other 3 small towns. We're here to all move forward, and if we all work together, we'll survive. But I don't think any one of us can really survive any longer on our own. But okay, Mayor Regano, you'll check with your council. How about Dusty? Is Mayor Erickson back on? I don't see him, so you go ahead. Do you want to carry that water to your board if they council to see if they'd be interested in central purchasing?
I can do that and talk to them when we in our meeting and see what they say.
All right, thank you, Dusty. Mayor Wolf from Superior, your thoughts? Centralized purchasing in that?
Something that we'll probably have to discuss.
Okay, the mayor from Superior, Mayor Wolf will talk with his council. How about Mayor McCullum from Granger? Your thoughts?
We're definitely on board with it because it would benefit us in probably a bigger way. We've got some potential future growth right now coming up, and I think that definitely would be in our wheelhouse.
Okay. Granger's interesting, but they'll talk with their council as well. Mayors, I think we pretty well have 7 county governments that are very much interested, but now this is one of those areas that we tread into that, you know, it's going to carry a lot of, what am I going to say, load for our purchasing agents in our different towns and cities and counties. So I agree with you, Mayor Russ. This is one that we need to move forward to, as you and Mayor Como and the other mayors have related. But I think what we need to do, I'd like to see us do, not appoint any committee at this point in time. I think we need to talk to our people who are in the trenches, and that's our department people that are actually carrying the water for us, doing the work. And, you know, we got to figure out if everybody's aboard, how we're going to make it work. And then, you know, but let's find out first if everybody's aboard, talk with our people that are in the trenches purchasing and that, and then come back at our next meeting. And with their input, let's set a team to work on that. Mayors, are you okay with that?
Yeah, Doc, I would just say too that, you know, Reed has sent me a text here and says that they have met with the county purchasing in Rock Springs on this, did a review, and that it just hasn't come back yet, you know, but it is something that it's not brand new to anybody. They have been working on it.
Right.
But I agree with you. That just needs to be further refined, and then
Well,
we'll hear back from them.
I think
But they have been working on it.
I agree with you. I know they have been working on it, and we don't want to disrupt what they're doing, but as we add some of these other areas, you know, there's still people that got to stop and say, how am I going to do that? And we got to listen to them and see what we can do. So we'll continue moving forward. Mayor Russ.
Mr. Chairman?
Who's out there? Yes, Commissioner Shanefield.
I would also like to suggest, I know that the conversation around central purchasing is not a new one, and neither is looking at combining other services. And I think that would be something that, while we're looking at combining purchasing, I know that's probably going to be further ahead, but there should potentially be some sort of a processes group that, you know, we can get started with purchasing, but let's look at the other areas where we're overlapping services so we can save some tax dollars moving forward. And combine the services between all of our towns and our cities, and, you know, figure out what would potentially be something that would work and work through each one of those. But I think that could be a committee. I mean, I know that that's very time intensive, and it's going to include a couple of different staff members throughout each process. But I think that there's a process that can be involved in each different area that we could look at combining that could be successful. So I think that may need to be a same core group of people working on each of those.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. You're exactly right. For those of you that don't know, that was Commissioner Shanefield from the Board of County Commissioners. And what she's saying exactly right. And those ideas of what else can be combined will really come from our staff, our departments and that type of thing. So we need to go back and build on it and move out, just as Commissioner Shanefield has said. We do have purchasing going, but I do know we have department heads in the county, as well as you have department leaders in both cities and small towns that would have ideas. And I think we need to come together with a list of ideas that what do I want to say? It's just a draft that can be added to. Well, it's a living document, and continue to move forward. So let's put on our list, as Commissioner Shanefield has mentioned, other areas or other, how do you want that worded, Commissioner Shanefield?
Let's say a review of services and processes.
Okay, yeah, of services. And we can go back and talk with our people, and we may even go so far as, you know, the county has some very good people that understand what those processes are and been thinking about it. I think they come back to this group and present to it. There's no reason that any of this stuff we're looking at and any of the groups we're working with, we can, through these special meetings, whether it's a workshop or we call it a meeting, we can have those groups come in and report to us as a joint governmental body, which will mean they don't have to travel to our council meetings or our board meetings. and they're talking to us, and we're all hearing the same thing. So think about that, mayors. I agree with, does anybody agree with, disagree with Council Russ that once there's a recommendation to put SEDC in there, and my recommendation would be I could support doing that one. And then we talked about central inventory. We're going to go back and report back. And I'll talk with Marty as well as whoever liaison is, or all of us, that doesn't matter, and report back. But does anybody object to touching SEDC tonight and then adjourning after a few comments and setting a next date? Does anybody object? Mayors?
I have no problem with that. I would just like, before we leave this meeting tonight, that we communicate those areas that we do have commitment for a committee. And if not, at least in the very near future, get those appointments made to these other boards so they can begin communicating to one another and set up their times of meeting and looking at the information they need to look at so they can begin their work. Get lost in the shuffle of not having a final decision here, at least tonight at the end of the meeting, of who sits on what, where they're going to meet, who's going to make the contact, and so these people can begin their work, or at least in the near future.
Thank you, Mayor. Exactly. We'll do that right at the end with all the committees. Mayor Russ, do you object finishing up with the SEDC and centralized inventory that we adjourn?
No, that sounds good. I mean, I'm the one who introduced the idea, so.
Okay. I think it's a great idea. I really do. I think you do too much, you can't do a quality job. I think we need to go on with it and give people an opportunity. Is there any small town mayor out there that would object if we finish up the SCDC and then go on, or review and then adjourn? Granger's fine. Superior Mayor Wolf says great. Dusty?
I'm good.
Town of Bear Oil, Mayor Regano?
Fine.
All right, so let's put after centralized inventory, SCDC. Mayor, SCDC, okay. Mayor Russ, let's start with you, your thoughts there. We do know that we have liaisons to it. We do know we have people appointed to that board. What's your desire? How do you want to move forward with it? Like I said, they can report out. Mayor Como knows probably, and as well as your city administrator, where they're at, and Commissioner Shanefield does as well. I'll say some of the work they're doing is pre-decisional, which basically means that, hey, it's for the board eyes only. Not yet quite there with public, but yet we do need to communicate where we're at and what we're doing to our councils and to the boards. And since money supporting that does come from the county, which represents small towns, they need to hear what's happening as well with SEDC. So what's your thoughts there, Mayor Pete or Mayor Russ?
You know, I'll speak to Reed, and of course, he's one of our main representatives, as you guys know, to the SCDC. And you know, I think in the end, Doc, all of these first 7, we will have people that we believe should be participants, you know, from the city of Greener, whatever number that is. We'll come back with you guys and we'll have that discussion. And in addition, in the meantime, we will, through the next meeting next Tuesday, we'll look at all the rest of them and have people assigned to them. And then we'll be ready to go, you know, from our point of view.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Mayor Como?
Well, I have to tell you, I serve with Reed and as you as a liaison. A lot of good people on this committee. They've done a lot of good things here in the last, let's say, year. A lot of things are getting ready to roll out, and we have to ask ourselves, you know, in the city of Green River and the city of Rock Springs had asked that question, and we all agreed with the county as well. Economic development helps everybody in this entire county. It's not just a Rock Springs thing, a county thing, a Green River thing. Whatever we do, wherever we can locate a new business, whether it's Bear Oil, Granger, Walmsetter, it doesn't matter. Superior, it's going to be beneficial to all of us. So I do think we need to make sure everybody's abreast of what's going on, and that they also work to entice and recruit businesses in their area. This is going to be a time that we have to look outside the box. We know that budgets are down, and the last thing we want to do is lower our aggressive stance on recruiting and marketing and economic development. This is the time we really need to shine. So I'm open to suggestions, and I can tell you that they are they're working well. They're getting ready to roll out a website and a new logo, marketing material, and the like. But we have a couple of projects in the work that are pretty exciting, and Lauren and Reed can probably add to that. But it's something we all need to be a part of.
Well, and thank you, Mayor. The other thing I'd like to say is also between the three of us, the county and two cities, we do fund SCDC and that type of thing. And in my mind, I have to think that those that serve on that, whether it's mayors or city administrators or commissioners or whoever the liaisons are, or council people, there still needs to be a accountability to the other council members and that type of thing. Now, at the county level, we're in pretty good shape, you know, because everything's there. We can sit down and talk and have a good idea of everything's at. And Lauren does a great job of keeping us informed or answering any questions. But we all know that through this COVID time, we've really become disconnected with a lot of things that are going on, and it's time to get reconnected. We have the technology, which is experienced tonight. We have the professionalism that's sitting not only in this chamber, but that's watching and listening. And we got to figure out a way to get those people, everybody involved, but we got to keep moving forward. And with SCDC, it's critical we protect what they have going, because the customers they're working with do not wish to be publicized at this point in time. I'm privy to that much. But I'd like to see, because we fund them all and because they're important to us, I think this is a venue in which they can come and report to us and we can hear what they're doing. And then we can have the question, mayors, of, hey, is our mayor from Green River, or our mayor from Rock Springs, is the commissioner from the county, as well as the administrator from the city of Green River, as well as the other people that may be on it that sit in governmental positions. Is that enough oversight? It's just a matter of the rest of us getting a understanding where things at. So that's my thoughts. I see Commissioner Shanefield as a member of it, has something to say. Go ahead, Lauren.
Mr. Chairman, first and foremost, I think SCDC has come a really long ways. As Mayor Como just mentioned, I think that we've got a really good group rolling together. We've got a lot of good things coming up. And it's already been discussed and is in the works that both Eric and Kayla, as well as any of the liaisons from our board, will be presenting at least quarterly to both city councils and the commission. At the commission, we're lucky because Eric and Kayla can just run upstairs and it's during their normal workday. But we definitely need to, we've talked about it. It's going to happen. They're in the process of putting everything together to roll out to the cities and then to come speak with us at the county. And then I think we should let maybe at least one of those conversations take place. And maybe even, a question and answer session and some other things, maybe even 2 quarterly reports. And then we can kind of come back to this discussion and make sure that it is enough. If it's not enough, what else do our councils and our commission need from SEDC and how they feel things are going?
Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. I was thinking the same thing of getting you guys to report and then coming back and seeing what's going on. So I hate to say this, but great minds think alike. Only because Lauren was a student of mine at Sweetwater. Most of you are when I look through this group. So anyhow, with that in mind, mayors, are you okay with that? Let's SEDC do what needs to be done, and then we can come together at some point in time and say, hey, is there anything else we can do for them or that? I do venture as a direction that SEDC is going. And the things they have going, there's going to be opportunities for all of us to provide support to SEDC to get things done. Would you agree, Lauren? Thank you. She gave a thumbs up. All right, mayors, are you okay with SEDC kind of waiting a little bit? Mayor Rust?
This isn't my idea. This comes to me from our SEDC representative, that an ongoing discussion of economic development and economic diversification and the funding and where we're at in the development of the industrial complex and things like that is part of an ongoing discussion that it makes sense that all 3 entities deal with. I understand, and what your guys are effectively saying, all 3 entities are already dealing with it. So again, this comes to me from reading. If he's on, he's welcome to jump in on this, but it makes sense to me what he says, that what we're trying to do here is coordinate and put all our efforts together on issues that are of common concern to all of us. And as you started with, I think it was Tim or Doc said, hey, economic development affects all of the communities, everybody. And that's what this group is all about. So that's why I believe Reed brought it up, that we, in addition to what's already happening, that it be an issue that we consider as we discuss areas of common concern to all of us.
Thank you.
I'll let Reed, speak for himself on that too.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Is Reed, are you on?
Yeah, thanks. I totally agree with what Peter said. I just think that there's a lot of issues that we have right now that are up front and center for us as a county. And I think you've done a really good job of covering some of the top 6 or 7 things that are there. Economic development, SEDC has come a long way. And we are in the middle of, bringing on hopefully some businesses here, partnering with some businesses, and then, bringing some of that stuff that's desperately needed to the county for, continued revenue growth, continued expansion, that kind of thing. So this is one of those top 6 or 7 topics, and we just need to make sure that we do have a focus and it's not getting dropped. So.
Very good. Reed, is there anything at this point in time that you're alluding to that we as a governing bodies need to do to support SEDC with any of that economic development?
No, I think the main thing that we need to do is what Lauren had already said, is we have planned for doing some presentations. I think we've been doing a little bit of marketing of what's going on, but I think we need to share more of where we're at with that in mind, because we are coming into budgets and we have a very small budget for what we've been doing and what's being accomplished. And but we've got a lot of things that are in the hopper that is going to make sure that that we're going to have to expand upon that. And so we'll be doing some presentations, everything from the phase 1 of Middle Baxter Road, phase 2 of what's happening, some of the companies that we've been talking to that have shown interest in our area, shown interest in what the county or even Wyoming can bring, and we're being recognized at some of those levels. So I think it's our job, or SEDC's job, to make sure that's being presented, so everyone does know and can be as excited about what's going on as much as we can share. Because, like you said, it's some of the stuff can be, but there are some things that if you could see some of the stuff that's happening, it's going in the right direction.
Thank you, Reed. I think you hit on a real good point. I think it's communication and what platforms to communicate off to or communicate to, or what venues. And maybe, I know you serve on SEDC, Tim, and Lauren does as well. I don't know who else that's on this call. I know Eric is on. And by the way, Eric and Kayla are both on. I forgot to introduce them early for the county. Kayla, of course, works with SEDC, and Eric oversights for SEDC out of planning and zoning. So welcome, you two. I apologize for introducing you late. But anyhow, I think you all work together, and I think if there more needs to be done and where, I think a lot of it will come out of you guys as SEDC, but even more so when SEDC presents to the council and two councils and the Board of County Commissioners, there may be ideas of venues for them to communicate. And I hate to always go back to it, but realistically, it took us a while to figure out to get to this point during these COVID times. How we could do this meeting tonight is just beyond me. I'm just so impressed. I think I get lost in it from the standpoint of everybody there and how professional everybody's been. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, but I think we'll have ways to get more venues and that type of thing as we come out of this COVID, and I think that's where we're headed. So will that work for you, Mr. Clevenger?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
All right, we'll keep it moving along. That's our job here, and that type of thing. So, and the final comment on SEDC is, I was one of the originals when SEDC started, when it started with the council in Green and Rock Springs and that type of thing, and was housed there. And one of the feelings there, and the feelings the same way, is we don't care where economic development is placed in the county, just bring it to the county. We got to get it to county. We don't care where it lands, because it's going to benefit everybody in the county, no matter where it's at. And that's why it's Sweetwater Economic Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition, and it's a Sweetwater thing. So we'll continue to move that way. So with that, I think we'll put items 7 through 13, and we'll put 14, review of services and processes, and that may take some people in our organizations. I think it behooves us as leaders if we don't bring in people that are experts in some of this stuff and have them talk to the group about it and that type of thing if there's questions. So with that, I'd like to review, first of all, that with the ambulance board, we have Councilman Robinson. Green River will get appointments from the Board of County Commissioners. It'll be Jeff Smith. Mayors, the towns will let us know, the small towns, the two towns that are involved, Granger and Superior, will let us know if they wish to have somebody aboard or if they're okay with the groups. I would ask that because the county's been in the middle of this, I would ask that the group would support, the mayors would support Commissioner Jeff Smith as the lead for that. Commissioner Smith, will you take that role? Thank you. He's done a good job with it, and he's been able to really work well with troops and that type of thing, and he can bring that group up to speed as to what we see and that type of thing, or what we saw. So are you okay with that, mayors? Tim?
I have no problem with that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I would look for, if we set a next meeting date, it would be nice to know that that group is well on its way and get a report from Commissioner Smith. Is that fine? Thank you. He nodded and said it was okay. Anything regarding ambulance to mayors, Mayor Como or Mayor Rust? Very good. We'll move on to review the 6 penny. Green River will notify us of an appointment. For Rock Springs will be Councilman Keaton West. For the town of Granger, Mayor McCullum. For the town of Superior, Mayor Wolf. For the town of Bear Oil, Mayor Regano. And Wansetter will get a representative to it. Commissioners, that was headed up by the county, and it was headed under the leadership of Commissioner Shanefield. I would like to appoint her to it, and I think Commissioner Shanefield, did you have a co-lead for that? Do you recall?
I don't believe I did. I think I was the lone wolf, and then I reported back and received input during our meetings.
Okay, I would like to from the county. Commissioner Lloyd, would you like to co-lead on that?
Well, I look really bad at this point if I would say no in front of all these people, so I will accept.
Thank you. I was going to say something else, but I couldn't do it, Commissioner Lloyd.
I'm glad there's a large meeting.
And Commissioner Tolman, you're out there and you're in the wings, but you're a rookie, and we're going to let you settle in a minute or two. But I got eyeballs for you, so, and as well as myself, I'm available to do anything. So that group again will get together, and as soon as we get those other appointments, we'll get them to Commissioner Shanefield, Commissioner Lloyd, and that group needs to begin working as soon as the appointments are there. They'll have to do some legal research, and I'm looking over at our deputy county attorney. I think he helped with the special 6 penny last time. Is that correct, John? Yeah. All right, that was John DeLeon, our assistant county attorney. So we will be able to advise the leads on it. I would encourage any of the other entities, if your legalese have anything to add, don't hesitate to have them talk with our legal advisor, Mr. DeLeon, if that'll work. Go ahead. Mayors, are you okay with that, Mr. Mayor Como?
I'm fine with that, Mr. Chairman.
Anything, and Mayor Rust, you okay?
Yes.
Thank you. I thought maybe you left to play pickleball or whatever.
Pickleball, yes.
Pickleball.
I'm in the backyard.
Okay. Anyhow, so that takes care of the 6 penny. On the joint powers board, we'll put that on hold and we'll continue to review it. Is that correct, mayors?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Como, okay, very good. Tim, you okay with that? Or was there something special?
I believe if you're talking about joint communications, we were going to revisit that once we established members that were willing to serve on that.
That's right. Thank you. So we have joint communications board and we'll get our members for that. And that basically will come through the county and the 2 cities. Is that correct, mayors?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll put that down as getting membership. And just so you as mayors know, being liaison to the joint communications, and we're establishing liaisons next Tuesday at our board meeting. Whoever the liaison is for the county to joint communications will fill that role. So you know that. Centralized purchasing, we need to come back with membership roles after we talk to our people that are in the trenches doing the heavy lifting. Is that correct, mayors?
Yes.
And for the small towns, also, we'll check with them at the next meeting and see if they have membership. Correct? All righty. And then with regard to the joint airport and telecommunications boards, we'll put those on hold, is what my note says. Correct, mayors?
Yes.
Correct.
Very good. And then SEDC, we'll hear some reports and then we come back and evaluate those, and hopefully through the councils and the commissions as they give their reports, we'll maybe get some ideas of where else we can communicate and where SEDC needs to communicate and how often And whether it's just at council meetings, board meetings, or even to this group because of the small towns and that type of thing. So would you agree with that, mayors? Mayor Como?
I do agree. And just to recap, in regards to SCDC.
Yep.
Everybody, Kayla just did send me a reminder that they're scheduled to come to the Rock Springs City Council on February 2nd. So that's upcoming. And like I said, I think there's a lot of behind the scenes that's been taking place with SCDC and in the structure of it, as Lauren, Commissioner Schoenfeld had mentioned. So that's going to come up quickly, and we can listen to them, and then we can answer questions from there.
Thank you, Mayor Como. Mayor Russ, do you agree?
Well, I do think that we're going to hear from them also, and I think from that, I think there'll be some new things to discuss.
Yeah, and I, as sitting here as commissioner, I know they'll come before the Board of County Commissioners, but I would like to have them consider to do maybe even something here or something for the small towns, because they have already economic development, so they know what's going on, because the residents of those small communities do pay tax dollars into the county, and is their money as well that's being spent. I don't want to disclude them, because they're interested in what's going on in their bigger towns, as them being more bedroom communities for us. Would you agree? And it'll be okay with that, mayors?
Yep.
All right, thank you. So that we have that one, and then I think SCDC, the next, very last one. Was that it? That was it?
Commissioner.
I have a Councilman Zadi. Okay, Councilman Zadi, the floor is yours.
I'm confused, and I want to go back to this because it's been bugging me the whole time. Joint Communications.
Okay.
We're going to appoint a committee to oversee a board that we appointed. I don't understand how this is going to work or why it's needed. When we appoint members to the board directly, and now we're going to form a committee to oversee that board. I'm kind of lost as to what we're going to accomplish there. I think there's other things on this list that are probably far more important than forming another committee for
Okay.
the appointment of meetings.
All right. Either one of you mayors, if you heard the question, would you like to answer that? Mayor Como, maybe? I see.
Yeah, I don't, Mr. Chairman, I don't look at it as reappointing another committee. I think we each have 3 representatives. We even have an accountant that serves on that, is more or less maybe redirecting our appointments to come up with a plan to take a look at their overall process of how they run business, and offer up to each entity a better answer. And what I would like is just some time to speak with our council and our representatives, just to come up with guidance on what we expect. As I said before, I think it's a good group of people, but I don't think we've accomplished our main goal here. Our main goal was to combine our efforts and hopefully save dollars. But if you can take a look at what you're spending, we're not saving dollars. We're in the same building doing the same thing that we always did with the same amount of people. And it's not cheap. I think we can do better. That's my take on it. And I don't necessarily think we need to, as I mentioned, reappoint another committee. Maybe each and every one of us need to revisit with the appointments that we have on that board, and spend some time with our own groups and find out just what we expect, and send them in that direction to get it done.
Thank you, Mayor Como. Mayor Russ, do you have anything to add?
Well, I didn't even hear, I couldn't hear Councilman Zadi what his concerns were.
I'll have him repeat what he was relaying. Councilman Zadi, please.
In our review and in our discussion, it seemed like we were talking about forming a committee to oversee board that we've already appointed. And I think really, we have other things, probably larger issues to tackle here than forming more committees to hold meetings to oversee boards we've already appointed, but that's my concern.
Thank you, Councilman Thank you, Councilman Zadi.
Yeah. My comment, Doc, is that we don't have any intention of overseeing the boards. We're talking about adding ideas into it as a group where we have common interests. It's not a matter of overseeing them. The boards, absolutely, as everybody said, we've got excellent boards and excellent people on them. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to coordinate where we have common interests and bring those to their attention and bring out any ideas that we can from a different group. All of which is designed to deal with our revenue issues that we're having.
Yeah.
That's the basis of all of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Russ.
Can I offer a comment, Chairman?
Sure. Go ahead, Councilman West.
This has been an issue, and I think the issue revolves around the MOU. I know past administrations have tried to hash it out, and I think that's the biggest sticking point. We're all faced with immense budget constraints, and we're trying to figure out, that's the whole purpose of this meeting, is where can we save money or combine efforts to work together as more of a regional approach. I think it'd be wise on this particular situation just to have the mayors and the chairman get with their legal counsel and figure out how they can revise the MOU document to, I guess, get it in line where they think it should be. Obviously, the board needs to have some input there, but I know it was close, and one of the three entities dropped the ball, so to speak, on that. But we're all facing budgets pretty quickly here, and we need to move quick on this. So, I think if you get together with the legal counsel and hash it out, then we can get this ball rolling rather than worrying about additional meetings and committees and whatever else. But just my two thoughts.
Thank you, Councilman West. If there's nobody else that has a thought, I'll kind of put it together the best I can. I'll wait a minute. I'll try some good teaching techniques and go to a pause. See, I haven't forgot how to be a teacher. Okay, let me follow up. I think Councilman West really touched on it. And I'm gonna take a little deeper, Councilman West, and I apologize if I hurt anybody's feelings, but it is about funding. And I will go back to the time that we requested to reduce the joint communications contribution. Granted, both cities, I will give them credit. Whatever the joint communications asked for, they gave it to them. The county balked, and the county said no. And everybody can go back and check on it. As I said earlier, times have changed with joint communications. I believe from what we occurred at that time where we went to litigation with joint communications and the county lost and had to give them the money that they requested. I will say from that time to the last couple of years, it has been a whole changed board to work with that has really been sensitive to the counties. But as the funding is for joint communication, I'll just say it plain and clear, they have an open checkbook. Joint communication MOUs have an open checkbook. And that's the concern of the leadership in governing bodies here. And what we want to work towards is we don't feel that any joint communication, or any joint board, whether it's communication or anything else, should have an MOU for an open checkbook. And we want to review that MOU. There are procedures in that MOU that if we work together, we can amend some of them and possibly through our legalese find a way to where there's no longer an open checkbook. Granted, along with that, when you're talking about the revenue to support a joint board, there's also is reviewing as to the intent of when any joint board is put together and allowing those. I believe those people appointed that board are working hard. I believe with the new executive person that's working at that board has heard the message of reducing and getting back to the original idea and operating the way it has. But at the same token, I think they need to know that we're there to support that, but but also with the idea that no joint board should have an open checkbook. And we have joint boards do. Luckily, they are now working with us, but yet we as fiduciary units to our taxpayers basically have no way to step in and say, no, the way those MOUs are written. And I don't believe I've missed it. My attorney's sitting here, and if I have, he's going to tell me, no, you have, you blew it, but I'm getting a thumbs up, and that's the crux of it. But I'm telling you what, they're doing a good job, but I think it comes down to just what Councilman West said, which he took the spin off of where both mayors are coming from. And I appreciate that, Councilman West. It did open the door for me to bring some history to it. And and it's all public knowledge, so I'm not saying anything out of turn, but we have worked with it, and I think we need to continue as the three leaders with that joint board, just like you said, Mr. West, and our legalese, and working also with that board to work with it, because they do have a legal advisor as well, and I can't believe that they won't want to work with us as well, but we'll see. Does that answer and put a exclamation mark on joint boards?
Sure.
Okay with that?
Yep.
Councilman West, I'll ask you if you have anything to add, because you kind of opened that door.
Not on that topic, but I've got plenty more. I'm just keeping my mouth shut.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there with as we move forward. But I mean, this is the purpose of this. I'm going to go back to it. You know what? It's time we figure out how to run more efficiently in the county. It's time we model it as leaders. It's time to forget the past. It's time to come together and figure out what is the best thing for the citizens of this county. And they look to us at this time of need where services are going to be impacted, but yet many of them are going to need them. And we've got to work and do the best we can with what we have. And I'll tell you what, we don't have what we had in the past. So with that, anything else to review for what we've done this evening? So I guess my next question is answered is, it's not answered. Is there any other items anybody thinks that ought to be put on the list for future meetings? And if we can handle it one of two ways, you can share them with me through an email to Adam, or bring them to the next meeting and we'll just add them, because we'll continue to work as a workshop, which gives us some leniency. Our attorneys appreciate that, because they see it as easier to work with. Mayors, your thoughts? How should we add items?
Mr. Chairman, I think an email to you would be great. We have a pretty big list here. Maybe there's something on there that would come up, but we'll just have to digest what we can in the next meeting and see what comes forward at that time, and then list them in way of priority, so we can move people in that direction and find ways to where we can maybe be more efficient for our taxpayers and save costs as well. I'd be interested in maybe, and I know you're getting there, maybe finding out what the next meeting date may be. And
We'll get there, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor Rust, anything about adding items, anything right now, or are you going to email or bring them at the next meeting, right?
Yeah, we'll do our assignments, and other than that, I agree with everything Mayor Como said.
All right, that brings to mind, let's have those. When's your next council meetings next week? Is that correct, on the 17th?
Yep.
Let's have those appointments at the 17th, mayors. Commissioners, I think we're pretty well in good shape, but we'll talk about it and see what else we need to do. So I'll go now to the small towns. Let's start with Dusty. If you're on for Wamsetter, your thoughts, anything to add, or do you just want to email and bring them to the next meeting?
I think email and bring them to the next meeting works for us.
All right, if something's different, get a hold of me, okay?
Will do.
All right, Mayor Regano out there in Bear Oil.
Yes, email works fine for us.
All right, we're at your disposal. Did Mayor Wolf leave? All right, I think he knows pretty well what we're doing. Mayor McCullum from Granger?
Yes, email it would be.
Okay. All right, so we've got that piece done, so that takes us to, I'm going to say that I believe from what I'm experiencing, we should schedule another meeting, mayors, and that type of thing, leadership. What's your pleasure? Mayor Rust.
You know, I'm not sure how long we need. We don't want to wait too long. That's all I can say. A couple weeks, we'll be ready. 2 to 3 weeks at the most.
Mayor Como? Your thoughts, next meeting?
Just looking at what we have going on here, I'm thinking around the 27th looks pretty good for me.
Okay, I hate to, I'll be out of town, but I still can run a meeting from where I'll be if we go that week of the 25th through the 29th, mayors, but it'll be run from out of town. I may appoint one of you to run it from here, but I participate. Are you okay with that?
Either way, 27th or the 3rd of February works. If Green River, that's 2.5 weeks there, 3 weeks.
What do you think, Pete? 2-3 weeks?
Either one of those works fine, Doc. You know, if it's more convenient for you because you're in town, excuse me, a week later, that works too.
Well,
let's try the 3rd.
That'll be good. We can go with the 3rd. Mayors, small town mayors, the 3rd.
That works for.
Okay. How about Bear Oil?
That's a council meeting night for us.
Can you make a part of your council meeting as a workshop? We'll try to keep it short.
Yeah, we could try that.
You know, we'd welcome you, and that way you'd have people there and that type of thing. So whatever works for you, you know, we'll shoot for this 5:30 time. And
we can incorporate it then.
all right, because we want you here. How about Dusty? You're out there.
I don't see any reason right at the moment where that date wouldn't work.
Okay, unless there's a real lot of objection of people sitting in the chambers or on screen, let's shoot for Wednesday, February the 3rd at 5:30. I will continue to chair, or I could find, continue to chair for that one. We will chair it out of the county commissioners' chambers so that the city of Green River can have their chambers, and we will facilitate the same way with technology through the chamber as well as YouTube and Zoom. So we'll do that. So next meeting, February 3rd, 2021, 5:30. Okay, with that, any final comments, mayors? Nope.
I just appreciate everybody's participation, Doc. I think it was a good beginning, a few technical issues and things, and we'll get back with you guys after Tuesday night's meeting because we're the ones that haven't assigned people, and looking forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. I know Mayor Como has said that all along, so I appreciate that from both mayors. Any final comments from Mayor McCullum from Granger?
No, we just appreciate being involved and looking forward to being part of this.
Thank you. And Mayor, any comments from Mayor Barrow? Ms. Mayor Regano?
We were glad to participate.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you, Mayor. Dusty, representing Wamsutter, any final thoughts?
I think it's a good place to start, and Wamsutter definitely appreciates the invite to it and look forward to participating more in some of this stuff and seeing where we go from here.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have one or two final comments. I know you're tired of hearing me talk, but you as council members and people that are here at this meeting, as well as that are on the Zoom, visit with your mayors. And I really want to know how much involvement and communication you want during this meetings. I do want you to be as much part of the workshop meetings and that type of thing. If you have anything to say, this is you're involved. You just gotta, like, I was glad to hear from Commissioner or Councilman West and Commissioner Shanefield, as well as Councilman Zadi or anybody else that interjected. I think that you're all part of it as governing agencies. So I want to make sure you know you are included and your comments are important. If there's some way we can make it more open to you, please let them know. The other things I want to remind the small towns, out of consideration for you, again, too, welcome. We want you part of this as long as you want to be, but if you 4 towns get together and decide it's more beneficial for me as commissioner or any other commissioner to have workshops with you on a basis, I'm willing to set that up and be a part of that, because you're a huge part of it. But I think being part of this is very important, because we want to hear what you have to say. With that, I guess if there's no more business, I would entertain a motion, even though it's a workshop, to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Mayor Como to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shanefield. We do not need to take a vote. We adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you, and stay